Hi, this is Carlos Cousins, and the following question is asking about the highlighted portion of the sentence beginning with from. So let's go ahead and read this together. From his experiments, he wrote a brief essay titled A Method of Reaching Extreme Altitudes, in which he outlined a space rocket one-step multi-stage principle theoretically capable of reaching the moon. So I'm going to go ahead and assume that there should have been a period after moon here, but it doesn't seem that there's anything really wrong with this, except that we've got he outlined a space rocket on the step or multi-stage principle, so that we've got a subject and a verb here, so an independent clause following the comma preceded by another independent clause following a comma here, and we can't have an independent clause and another independent clause split by a comma. Now this is preceded by a dependent clause, which can be before or after an independent clause split by a comma, but between two independent clauses, and we know this because from here his experiment doesn't have a subject and a verb. Between two independent clauses, you can only have period, the conjunction and, or semicolon for this test. We cannot have a comma, or this becomes a comma splice. So because of that, the first answer choice would be immediately wrong. Let's go ahead and consider the second. A method of reaching extreme altitudes, or so let's see. From his experiments, he wrote a brief essay titled A Method of Reaching Extreme Altitudes, in which he outlined a space rocket. So this would be fine, except the comma, rather than being before or after altitudes and before in which would make this he outlined a space rocket part of the sentence a dependent clause. It begins the clause with he outlined, which keeps it an independent clause. And again, we can't have a comma between two independent clauses once again. Answer choice C here does this. So that's what I was talking about. So we've got a comma here before in which, so a method of reaching extreme altitudes, comma, in which he outlined a space rocket. So this in which part is going to make the following a dependent clause, no longer an independent clause. So a comma is now valid. This looks good. Let's see if we find something maybe a little bit better. Now here we're using our quotations. So a method of reaching extreme altitudes, comma, in which. So this keeps the quotations, and because this is the title of an essay, we want the quotations there, which makes answer choice D a better answer choice than answer choice C and the correct answer. I hope that helps with this problem, and happy prepping.